Who's a politics lecturer at Dublin City University. Ewan, whoever wins this election is going to have a very tough time ahead of them. What are they going to have to do?
Well, I think one of the things they need to do is restore some sort of sense of confidence and some sense of control. The government in the last couple of months and years has been sort of lurching from crisis to crisis, and there wasn't any sense that it knew what it was doing. What it can do in terms of the budget and policy is limited, really, because it's all set down in the EU-IMF deal, where more or less our budgets for the next 4 years have been written, and so there isn't a great deal that it can do. There is some talk that Ireland will try and renegotiate that deal and see if we can get a lower interest rate, or we can extend it a bit further beyond what we have to, what it currently is.
And what about rehabilitating politics in the eyes of the Irish public? Because politicians aren't very popular here anymore, because seeing what's happened, are they?
No, and there's a sense really that the political system has failed, that politicians didn't have their eye on the ball. They were watching what was happening in their local constituencies and whether roads were being fixed or small schools were being refurbished and things like that. And this massive property bubble that was kind of going on, nobody either noticed or seemed to care. So there will be a chance to actually fix the political system and get the parliamentary system working again and get the government working again.
Owen, thank you very much. So Owen O'Malley there, politics lecturer at Dublin City University. So voting is going to be carrying on here until about 22 GMT this evening. And then when the count starts on Saturday, we'll have some idea about what change Ireland has voted for and what's going to be happening over the next few years.
Rory, thanks for that. Live from Dublin there. Now, the hearing of an American security contractor accused of killing 2 Pakistani men has been adjourned once again until March the 3rd. Security was tight at the high-security jail where Raymond Davis is being held and where the hearing took place. The case has created tension between the US and Pakistan. Washington insists that Davis has diplomatic immunity and should be released. In the U.S., the Wisconsin State Assembly has approved a Republican proposal to curb the collective bargaining rights of public sector unions. The debate has generated widespread demonstrations. Tens of thousands of government employees oppose the plan. Wisconsin's governor, who's a Republican, says the measure is critical to restoring the state's financial health. After 4 days of searching, hopes of finding more survivors of the earthquake in New Zealand are fading. Rescue crews are scouring the rubble, but the threat of aftershocks is hampering the operation. Tanya Page has the latest from Christchurch.
We're outside the central business district, the worst affected area, but even here in the suburbs you can see what sort of damage has been wrought by Tuesday's earthquake. If we look up at this shop front, the whole thing has been ripped off and it's just lying on the footpath in a pile of bricks and twisted metal. Up there on the right, what looks like it could be a decoration or a prop shop perhaps. Down here in the middle, a clothing store, all the stock just exposed to the elements. And back up top, maybe it looks like the back of a shoe store perhaps. The whole area really is just, you know, it's a total mess. There's been a bit of rain here in Christchurch that's slowing down the clean-up operation and the rescue operation, but so are the aftershocks. The Earthquake Commission says there could be up to 10 4 to 5 magnitude aftershocks and about 100 magnitude 3 aftershocks. And if you look just up there in the corner, more devastation on this block of shops, but ironically, right next door, a building that's escaped relatively unscathed.
And now roaring off to space for the very last time. Taking off for its final mission, the shuttle Discovery launched from Kennedy Space Center into the Florida sky.
A tribute to the dedication, hard work, and pride of America's space shuttle team. The shuttle has cleared the tower.
Watching AlJazeera, these are the stories making headlines. The UN Security Council will meet on Friday to discuss possible sanctions against Libya. Also on the table, a request to the International Criminal Court to indict Libyan leaders for crimes against humanity. Heavy fighting has been reported in Zawiya, just west of the capital, Tripoli. between opposition forces and Gaddafi loyalists. But Al Jazeera has been hearing that growing areas in the east are falling under opposition control. Meanwhile, Libya's chief prosecutor has become the latest prominent member of Muammar Gaddafi's regime to quit.
On the first day of my job, I took an oath to side with truth and justice. God knows I have been, and always will be, siding with such principles. What happened and is happening are massacres and bloodshed never witnessed by the Libyan people. The logic of power and violence is being imposed instead of seeking democratic, free and mutual dialogue.
Anti-government protests are taking place in Iraq. Demonstrators are defying a curfew in Baghdad to make their way to the city's Tahrir or Liberation Square. Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki has urged people not to take part. Other rallies are reported to be taking place in Basra, Fallujah and Mosul. Ireland is holding elections on Friday that could unseat the ruling party. Voters are expected to vent their anger at the Fianna Fáil party, widely blamed for the country's debt crisis. Well, the hearing of an American security contractor accused of killing 2 Pakistani men has been adjourned. Security was tight at the high security jail where Raymond Davis is being held and where the hearing actually took place. The case has created tension between the US and Pakistan. Washington has insisted that Davis has diplomatic immunity and should be released. The state of Wisconsin in the US has approved a Republican proposal to curb the collective bargaining rights of public sector unions. There were demonstrations against the Republican leader there. 101 East is next.
Since gaining independence in 2002, East Timor has been plagued by instability. This is despite the presence of the United Nations and a contingency of international peacekeepers helping to rebuild the nation's military and police force. But now, the East Timorese government want these foreign forces out of the country. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. On this edition of 101 East, we ask, are the East Timor security forces ready to protect their own people?
Police Chief Superintendent Henrik da Costa is putting his brigade through their paces. He says these drills are essential in reforming East Timor's 9-year-old police force.
It's very hard as a commander to get the police force on the track. But anyhow, as a leader, I should try to manage my staff to perform their duty. I should direct them on the right way.
The Chief Superintendent's beat is Bau Khao, a scenic colonial city on East Timor's coast.